Have you ever wondered what really makes the difference between a life of happiness and one filled with suffering? What's the secret sauce? Well, today we're diving into a really cool ancient text where a group of villagers asked the Buddha that exact question, and their search for answers gives us this incredible guide to how our actions, big and small, shape our destiny, not just in this life, but in what might come next.
So, here's our game plan. We're going to start with the question that got this whole conversation started. Then we'll get into the Buddha's core answer, which is all about something called kamma. After that, we'll break down the nitty-gritty, the specific actions that lead to suffering and the ones that lead to happiness. We'll even look at the range of possible outcomes and wrap it all up with the most empowering idea of all, the power of your own choice.
Okay, so let's set the scene. Our story kicks off in Sāla, a village in ancient India. The local householders hear that the Buddha is in town, and they see a golden opportunity. They don't just go to say hello, they approach him with this deep, burning question about the very nature of life and fairness.
And this is the question they hit him with. It's a question that we still ask today, right? Why do some people seem to catch all the breaks, while others face one hardship after another? And what, if anything, determines what happens after this life is over? It's really a fundamental search for meaning and justice in the universe.
Now, the Buddha's response is fascinating. He doesn't spin some complicated mystery or a dense philosophical theory. Instead, he gives a really direct and straightforward answer that puts all the power, all the responsibility squarely back into our own hands. And the answer is just beautifully simple. States of misery, he says, are caused by unrighteous or what we could call unskillful conduct. And happy destinations, well, those are caused by righteous or skillful conduct. So in other words, our future isn't random. It's not decided by some outside force. It is a direct result of our own actions.
The villagers are really into this, but they want more. They're like, okay, we get the headline, but we need the details. They find the answer a little too brief and ask him to really break it down. They're basically asking, how exactly does this work in the real world? And this is where we get the really practical, juicy guidance.
So the Buddha says, all right, let's get specific. And he lays out these 10 unskillful actions. These are behaviors that are just plain counterproductive and, in the end, lead to suffering. He groups them into 3 categories, starting with the most obvious ones.
The first category is all about our physical actions, or kaya kamma. This is the most tangible stuff, right? It's the things we literally do with our bodies that can cause direct harm out there in the world.
He outlines 3. First, taking life, destroying living beings. Second is taking what isn't freely given, stealing. And third is sexual misconduct, which is all about acting without any regard for the commitments people have made or the well-being of others. Pretty straightforward.
Okay, next up, speech, or vachikama. It's so easy to underestimate the power of our words, but this teaching makes it crystal clear that our words are huge. They are powerful tools that create our reality. And there are 4 main ways our speech can be unskillful. So, what are they? Lying, of course. Then there's divisive speech, using words to drive a wedge between people. Third is harsh speech. We're talking insults, abuse, just plain meanness. And finally, there's idle chatter. Speech that's pointless and just adds to the noise without any real benefit.
Now we get to the final and honestly the most subtle category, the mind, manokamma. This is the source code. This is where all our words and actions begin. The thoughts and intentions we water in our minds end up shaping absolutely everything else.
The 3 unskillful mental actions are covetousness, that obsessive I want what they have feeling. Then there's ill will, which is actively wishing harm on others. And then there's this last one, wrong view, which is so important. It's the belief that our actions don't have consequences. It's the idea that what we do doesn't really matter. So if that's the roadmap to suffering, what's the alternative? Well, this is the hopeful part. The Buddha then lays out the perfect mirror image, the 10 skillful actions that create happiness and good fortune, not just for other people, but for ourselves too. And it's such a beautiful direct contrast. Instead of taking life, you protect it and develop compassion. Instead of taking what's not yours, you practice generosity. And instead of misconduct, you honor and respect relationships and commitments. It's a total reversal. And look how this transforms our speech. Instead of lying, we commit to telling the truth. Instead of causing drama and division, we use our words to heal and bring people together. Instead of being harsh,
We speak gently and kindly, and instead of just filling the air with noise, our speech becomes useful, timely, and meaningful. And right at the source, the mind, everything shifts. Covetousness becomes contentment. Ill will is transformed into goodwill, wishing well for everyone. And most importantly, that wrong view gets replaced by right view, the deep, clear understanding that yes, our actions have results. Our choices truly, truly matter.
So what's the payoff for all this skillful action? What's really fascinating here is that the text doesn't just say, oh, you'll be happy. It actually describes this whole spectrum of amazing outcomes that can happen. Get this. Depending on how consistently you practice skillful conduct, the results can range from a really fortunate human life, with health, wealth, respect, all the way up through these progressively more blissful heavenly realms where you'd be a companion to divine beings. It's like a ladder of positive potential you can climb.
But, and this is a huge but, the path doesn't just end with a better future life. That's not the ultimate prize. The highest possible result is something that can be realized right here, right now, in this very life, the complete liberation of the mind. A profound, unshakable freedom from suffering itself.
So let's bring this all together. What does this ancient conversation really mean for us today? The final and most powerful message is that our destiny is not set in stone. It's not predetermined.
I mean, just look at the villagers' reaction. They say it's like something that was completely upside down has finally been turned the right way up. This teaching gave them so much clarity and inspiration because it showed them a clear path that they themselves had the power to walk. And it all comes back to this foundational idea of right view. Believing that your actions matter is the engine that drives this entire system. It's the conviction that gives real meaning and purpose to choosing the skillful path over the unskillful one every single time.
So, this ancient guide leaves us with a very immediate, very personal question. Every single moment presents us with a choice. Every word we speak, every thought we think, every action we take is a cause that we are setting in motion. So the only question left really is, what kind of effects do you choose to create today?